Welcome to another Swiss round of the Japan Finals here in 2025 EB02 format, unofficial English commentary. I'm Jake. You can call me Atrocious. And it's going to be an exciting match if you saw the title and thumbnail. Looking forward to getting you this one, but just want to let you all know that if you do want to watch the official live stream and the entire tournament itself, you can go check out the link in the description below. I do have the official live stream here. Great production. But if you want to keep listening to us and watch our commentary, I do have a full playlist of this tournament, as I usually do with different tournaments. You can go check that out as well on my channel. And if maybe you're watching this the day and time that this releases, the other rounds of the tournament, especially Top Cut, should be in the vault, ready to go if you're a channel member. But first, let's hear from a word from our sponsor. Whether you love opening packs or going out to buy singles, make sure to log all your cards on your phone through OP TCG DEX. It's the ultimate companion app for all things One Piece trading card game. Whether you're collecting cards, building decks, or looking to level up your game, this app has you covered. Listen, there's a lot of perks within this app on your phone. If you're like me and don't remember what amounts of cards you have, there's a really easy filter system within the app. And honestly, that's just scratching the surface of this app. You can download this app for free on both the App Store and Google Play Store. But you can also get the pro version of this app free for 30 days just by using my code Atrocious. I mean, honestly, it's a win-win. You get a great app that I use to be able to log my cards, right? And you can do it as well. And you're helping support the channel for free. The download link and instructions to redeem your trial are in the description below. Don't miss out now. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, the decks that we've got for you today, Usopp and Doflamingo. So Doflamingo, the big bad villain of the format, but Usopp got a recent surge, winning the Asia Finals not too long ago. And with EB02, the format kind of shifting slightly, and a new tier 1 deck coming into the format in green purple Luffy. If you've seen our other videos going over that deck, Usopp has an interesting spot within the meta, right? Has a continuous effect of your cost 2 or greater Dressrosa type characters get +1 cost, but on opponent's turn, once per turn, this effect can be activated when one of your Dressrosa type characters leaves the field of play by your opponent's effects or are KO'd. If that happens, if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card. So different than Rebecca, right? Another black-blue Dressrosa type leader. Does definitely look to be a forefront in the meta, but let's look at our player starting hands. So Doflamingo going first in this match looks to have a pretty decent amount of cards, right? 2 Boa Hancocks you've got in there. Starter deck 17 Trafalgar Law, one of the cards that people really do not like and one of the strong points of this deck. You also have a 6 cost Jozu and a 7 cost Gravity Blade. So we'll see how impactful Gravity Blade is within this deck, right? The +1 cost for the Usopp could be advantageous in avoiding the Gravity Blade, but in their hand, they've got a little 1 cost Leo Searcher as well as some 4 drops in that Frankie and Sabo and some other 2Ks in that hand by Bartolomeo. So could be interesting to see what this Usopp player does. Definitely going to be playing that Leo. Going to try to find some pieces of the puzzle because Leo finds 2 different cards within the top 5, right? So a great turn 1 play in my personal opinion. Again, Dofi going first in this one. And so Doflamingo starting it off, just going to be a pass, has no 1 drops to work with, but now the Usopp's turn. Finds a Zoro off the top deck, which is going to be nice. But first, we'll go ahead, do the Leo. You have to rest either a leader or stage on your side. Look at the top 5. Grab 2 Dressrosa type cards other than Leo. So a couple different options here. You got 2 different Rebeccas in there and another 7 cost Rebecca, I believe it was, in that search. But just going to grab 1 each of 7 and 1 on Rebecca's. You got to trash 1 from your hand as well. So there goes that Frankie. And now because you got that 1 drop Rebecca from the Leo, now you go in and do that to finish off your turn, right? Grabs another Zoro. Plenty of Zoros in the hand. Going to be really nice in this matchup, specifically Zoro being able to KO 4 costs is going to go in with a blind leader flip over a Sengoku, and Usopp taking that life. Really love to see blind leader flips whiffing for the opposing player, right, is very, very nice. And this list playing Orlumbus, I know Orlumbus hasn't been in a lot of Usopp lists, right? But Orlumbus getting some limelight in this match. We'll see if it sticks. And a 6,000 power swing goes in with the Usopp, and the Bartolomeo blocker comes down. Bartolomeo is a nice blocker when you don't really have any reason to play the Zoro, right? Even though it's a 2K being on the field, they have to get rid of it in terms of forcing you not to take a second swing and go down to 3 life. One of the things that Doflamingo really loves in matchups such as this is that the opposing player is a 4 life leader. Doflamingo really preys on those 4 life leaders. So we'll see on 5 Dawn what he decides to do at this point. Could go ahead and play Marshall D. Teach. Marshall D. Teach, a great card, right? Guarantees you to be able to put a character on the top of the deck that you're going to be able to play off leader effect. But first, does the Sengoku and finds pretty much exactly what he's looking for, I think. Gets a Jinbei. Jinbei is going to be really, really nice after you play the Marshall D. Teach, right? Because then you can put the Jinbei on the top of the deck, be able to use leader effect, put the Jinbei down, and then also put one of the other characters in your hand down, whether that's the starter deck Law, right, or the Boa Hancock. So is kind of thinking about right now what he wants to pair with that Jinbei that he put in hand. Looks like Boa is going to be the target, just mathing it out, making sure that he's got the right appropriate numbers. You can go in and swing 9, I think, with the Doflamingo on this turn, especially because Teach will give you 2 Rested Dawn, right? That makes 7. You can attach 1 extra because you only need 1 more off of your leader effect to make it 8. And then Boa fulfilling the condition after you play it off the Jinbei would be a 9,000 power swing. So would probably more than likely prompt the block of the Bartolomeo. And so going ahead, resting 2 for that Teach, like I mentioned, going to be attaching 2 Rested Dawn to leader and putting that Jinbei on the top card of the deck. We'll see if he attaches another one to leader, looking like he may be thinking about not doing that, maybe leaving one open, making the opponent think that after this going to be playing like a Perona or something. I think it really doesn't matter. I think he's going to block no matter what anyways, but goes ahead, uses that leader effect to flip over the Jinbei. We'll see what he puts in the hand. It's going to be Boa that comes on the field. Boa going to be reordering that top 3. It looks like Buggy Perona, so might be nice to grab some counter if you want to, but also maybe wouldn't surprise me if you decided to bottom deck all of this, right? Not a lot of those cards are really going to help you too much at this point, especially because you can't really flip anymore. You don't want to play a 2K like Buggy, so puts it at the bottom and a block happens as I told you that it might happen. Anyways, 6 Dawn on the Usopp right here. 6 Dawn still can't play the Rebecca that you've got in your hand. Rebecca being an incredible card for this deck, but goes ahead, plays a Zoro, and after resting the leader, does KO that Boa blocker, passes off the turn. One of the reasons that Kurita Coliseum is such a nice card within this deck is that if you have Kurita Coliseum on the field, then you're going to be able, when you play the Zoro down, just rest the Coliseum and still swing with your leader. At that point of the game, yes, you cleared the Boa off the board, but you didn't get to swing at the Jinbei, right? The Jinbei still stands and now is going to swing at you within this turn. That's kind of the downside of that move. Now at 7, Dawn maybe thinking about doing a Jozu right here. Jozu could be pretty nice to help establish a body on the board, right? Because you still have Marshall D. Teach. Might be good. A Jinbei just swinging 5 is just going to be a nice little counter for the Orlumbus right there. And with the 6 is going to go ahead, play that guy down, pick up his Sengoku, and put the Zoro back in hand. Zoro's kind of a mixed feeling in terms of being able to put back in hand because, well, your opponent just has to play it back down again in order to remove another body, but that's one less swing that you have to worry about going into next turn, so it's probably worth it at that point. Using the Teach effect to get a Boa on the top is going to let him reorder the top 3. Once again, we see Perfume Femur, which can be very nice within this matchup, right? We see some blockers in that Frankie Also sees another Jozu, so might be thinking about grabbing the Jozu on the next turn, playing that guy yet again, establishes a 6-cost body, which is very difficult for a lot of decks to get rid of. 7,000 power swing as well if it survives, and also remove something off the field. So that 8,000 power swing, going to be 2/2Ks to go to 9, puts only a couple cards now in the Usopp's hand, right? Really trying to get some things going right now with the Rebecca. Has to decide now as he starts the turn whether he wants a 2K or the Cavendish, and looks like the 2K Bartolomeo is going to be the choice. Rebecca going to be played right now, as with the Usopp, making it a +1 cost. You're going to have Zoro and Cavendish come in on the field, right? Because that Rebecca on play is an 8 cost. And so you do the whole thing again of resting the leader, don't have any swings, but now you have a Cavendish and Zoro on the field alongside the Rebecca. You have many more options to be able to swing in the next turn. But again, Kurita Coliseum really missing within this deck and could be a problem for the Usopp, right? Not really digging any cards out of the Doflamingo's hand at this stage of the game. So on an 9 Dawn turn, could once again, like I mentioned, play Jozu. Jozu would be able to get something off the field, preferably maybe the Cavendish, I think, at this point. And so just a 5K poke, going to be another Rebecca right here. You have a third Rebecca in your hand, that's 7 cost. So still going to be able to use it if you want to within this next turn. But we'll see what he decides to do on this part. If you go in and play Sengoku, right, do a little bit of searching for a character, you can still play the 6-cost Jozu and be able to bounce a body back while also putting a body on your side of the field, right? That Jozu could go ahead, swing at the Zoro, try to control the board a little bit and get a KO, but looks like it's going at life instead. Maybe just wants to rush down this Usopp player, and so does go in and get one for the Sengoku. Going to be looking at that top 5. Going to find a couple different options. Perfume Femur might be something that he's leaning on at this point to be able to go in for an unblockable final swing here soon. Really just makes the opponent think, okay, I've got this in my hand right now. I can use this at any point. How are you going to play around it? Is looking at 6 Dawn right here. Probably, once again, like I mentioned, for the Jozu. Does need to leave at least one open to be able to use leader effect on this turn. And here comes a 6, grabbing the Sengoku back, putting it in hand and having the Cavendish be put back in hand. I do like the Cavendish over the Zoro, right? And as that character leaves the field of play, because you had 5 or less cards in hand, you get to use that Usopp effect. Because remember, it's whenever it leaves the field, either by KO or, you know, bounce back, bottom decking, any of the sorts. So now going in after using the teach to use leader effect, go with the Gecko. The Gecko is going to grab a Boa. Going to be a nice grab, and 2K going to be getting out of that swing. Now going into a full 10 Dawn turn for the Usopp, could play another Rebecca, right, and go in with Cavendish and Zoro, right, again, and like remove a body, whether that's the Gecko or the Jinbei, and then maybe use some of the rest of the Dawn to be able to battle. But first doing the Leo, so no Zoro probably on this turn unless a Kurita Coliseum is found. I think there was one in that stack. Is going to be able to find a Kurita Coliseum. Going to be so nice for continuing in this game. It's a little late, but it's still something that you love to see. You also see a 2K in there in that Sabo, looking like something that they might want to grab. Also another Bartolomeo, or I'm sorry, one-legged toy soldier in that stack. Is maybe thinking about grabbing the Ideo, I think is how you pronounce it, right? Little 2-cost blocker in the stack. And it looks like ultimately grabbing the 2K in the 1K or the one-legged toy soldier, as well as the Kurita Coliseum. Now with Kurita Coliseum, you're going to be able to go in and use the Rebecca, right, and use Zoro to KO something. Very beneficial to your game plan at this point, but only 1 Dawn left after you do that. So here's the Rebecca play. Going to be drawing a card and then playing 2 bodies on the field, 1 rested, 1 active. Going to be using that Zoro, get rid of the 2 Leos, and now a full board once again. Going to be so nice. We'll see what he decides to KO. I like the Gecko play, right? You don't want any chance of being able to cycle the Jinbeis, and so discarding 2 cards, now only 1 active done. But with Kurita Coliseum, remember, you still get to swing with the character that you play off of this Rebecca. So Cavendish going to go in with a once per turn when attacking, draw 2, trash 1, is going to net 1 card in the hand and trash that Cavendish. It's going to be a 2K, 1K, I think, or maybe it was a 1K, 1K. Got rid of 2 cards there on that swing to keep the Jinbei alive, I believe. And so does have to decide now if he wants to attach 1 to the Zoro and swing at the Jinbei, or maybe the Jozu. The Jozu, if he swings 7 at it, would be able to get out of it, but chooses the Jinbei right here. Cannot save that. Don't have enough counter in hand, and looking at a pass of the turn. Still 2 life, plenty of bodies on the field, and here's the thing about Usopp right now is, yes, you could go in for life, but if they can get out of it, right, they can survive on the turn. Might be a little difficult on your side of the field because, well, look at that right there, that 8 be able to counter out with. You're going to have to be able to go in for game. And so does put that on the Teach right there, uses the Perfume Femur and Rested Dawn to give power to the Doflamingo. The Teach gains a bit of power on this, and the Doflamingo gets that 7. Maybe just wanted 2 Rested Dawn. I try to swing out right here. You know that there's only 2 cards in hand, right? So what is the most that they are going to see? And just puts a bunch on the Teach. Cannot get out of this one with only 1K counter in hand. Puts that Kurita Coliseum in hand. Swings a 9, and that's the game right there. Doflamingo taking down the Usopp. So just found the right amount of numbers, especially with the low hand size of the Usopp, to be able to go in for game and take that win. Definitely honestly thought that there would be like 1 more turn heading into that one, but definitely an interesting match to watch. Now, although the Usopp deck list isn't official yet, it's not public information, this is probably about what their list looks like, right? Usopp, now having 2 sets of the Dressrosa typing, has plenty of options to be able to deck build. Some of the key pieces that we see in this deck, though, definitely Leo, one of the perfect 1 Dawn plays to have, right? Being able to find 2 different Dressrosa type cards when your whole deck is Dressrosa basically is so strong in so many different situations. Kurita Coliseum, we saw how impactful that stage was, and when it was missing, how bad it was, right? That's 1 less swing for your leader when you're trying to keep up tempo, right? Board control with the Zoro. Zoro, one of the best cards to come in OP10, right? A 4-cost KOing another 4-cost is such good value, but it's at the cost of resting one of your Dressrosa leaders or stages. One of the reasons why Kurita Coliseum is oftentimes a must see at the beginning of the game, and why it would have been a perfect grab if in the top 5 off of the Leo. You also have Rebecca, which on paper seems not like a great card, right? Needing a cost 8 or more on the field, has great synergy with Usopp, right, as this leader, because Usopp gives all your Dressrosa characters of 2 or more +1 cost, making the Rebecca, as I mentioned, an 8 cost on the field. We didn't really see him showcased in this game, but Kyros is great to also combo off of the Rebecca, right? And especially in OP10, you're going to start seeing this guy in a lot of different blue decks not named Doflamingo. On play, 7 cost, 9,000 power, return up to 1 character with a cost of 5 or less to the opponent's hand, right? 5 costs are so influential in this format. There's so many great cards of a cost of 5 or less. Being able to play this guy down and control the board, and by the way, have a 9,000 power character is so good, especially in an Usopp deck where you have Kurita Coliseum. You can instantly battle with a 9,000 power character on an opponent's other character, which can help so much. There's different tech cards that you can play within this deck, some of them being this Monkey D. Luffy. I see this like off and on a lot of times in the Usopp decks. It's usually like a 1 or a 2 of a lot of times, right? This OP04 SR, Very, very nice to be able to attack both active characters and rested characters on a Kurita Coliseum pseudo rush card, but also late stages in the game when you build up your trash through the Rebecca effect, right? Through the Zoro effect. You're going to be able to swing twice with this guy, which can, if you're going for game, be super impactful, right? It's only just bottom decking 7 cards. It's not having to rest Dawn or rest characters or leaders or anything of the sort. Red Brock's also a pretty decent card in this deck. It's not usually played a ton of, mostly like a 2 of, but being able to bottom deck certain pesky things like a 10-drop Marshall D. Teach or like a 10-cost Shanks or something like that can be backbreaking to a lot of decks within the meta when their boss monsters go away. Very cool deck. I know a lot of people fans of Usopp, myself included, but couldn't get it done against Doflamingo in this match. Now, I don't know if this is the exact player who was playing Doflamingo in this match. I don't think so because their leader is different, but this was a well-placing Doflamingo list from the tournament, so there's probably a lot of similarities, right? Because a lot of times about 90% of the deck is the same. You've got your typical Doflamingo core of Perona, Sengoku, Buggy, right? Excellent 1-drops to be able to utilize and help get your game plan going. Marshall D. Teach, arguably one of the best cards in the deck. I've been a proponent of it for so long. And then your 4-cost core of Mihawk, Crocodile, Boa, Weevil, Jinbei, Law, and then usually your Gecko counts are about 1 or 2 that I see. I usually don't see too much more than that for these decks, right? Starter deck 17 and OP07 just giving this deck the thrill that it needed to be able to succeed in these tournaments. And this deck playing 3 Gravity Blades. 3 Gravity Blades is a little bit higher, I feel like, than what a lot of other decks that I see of Doflamingo. I usually see like a 2 count, maybe 3 Jozu, right? 3 Pudding is pretty typical. It's either 2 or 3 usually, and then 1 Perfume Femur. I've said this before in previous videos recently, how I really like 1 Perfume Femur in my Doflamingo list, right? I think it just has a lot of flexibility, and at worst, as you saw in that match, didn't need it for the unblockable, but synergized really well with Marshall D. Teach. That's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is the final video that I needed to do for the Swiss rounds, right? So from now on, videos that get posted are going to be the top 16 cut, and those are going to be in order, right? Top 16 cut, top 8, top 4, and finals. I went a little bit out of order on the Swiss because YouTube didn't have a rewind feature when you were watching it live. So like I would do 1 round and then I would be editing and they would start the next round. And so I'd miss that round because, well, I couldn't rewind or pause or whatever. I wanted to get the video out as soon as possible. So a little bit out of order, but it's all good. And again, like I said earlier, I am going to be putting all these videos in the playlist, right? The tournament playlist, as I usually do. And especially for the matches, like if you want to watch Top Cut already, those videos aren't going to be out yet if you're watching this as soon as this video releases, because if I post them all at the same time, YouTube's going to nail me. And so videos that aren't out yet are in the waiting room in order not to be slammed by YouTube are members first. So if you want to join as a channel member, just go to the profile, hit join. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory, like a Twitch subscription. Basically, you get all my videos that I post early and stuff like that. But I appreciate all your support. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you stick around for the next video, and we'll see you soon.